All right, we're here at CyberCon 2025, joined by John Karabin, who's the Chief Cyber Security Strategist at McGrathNicol. Now, John, the quickfire questions for today.
Quickfire, okay.
First one, what's the biggest risk that keeps you up at night?
I think it's the risk that we'll get cyber incidents starting to overlap and magnify the problem. And I think that's what we really get concerned about, that the damage becomes overwhelming for some of the things. And we work heavily in critical infrastructure. I think a small thing triggering transport that then hits your banking, that hits your food, that hits your electricity, and suddenly you have a major sort of disaster. And we see the potential for that at the moment around the world. Hasn't happened in Australia, but I do worry about it.
So obviously AI is a hot topic here at CyberCon. What do you think is the human factor that's hardest to replace with AI in the cyber realm?
You've put it in the words already, the humans.
Yeah, that's right.
And
the answer's in the question.
The answer's in the question. I think the great warning that's come out in some of the talks is that you cannot take the humans out of the equation at the moment, and there's a propensity, especially for people that haven't got experience in the industry, to go down a ChatGPT. We heard someone using ChatGPT to do a instant response exercise, which is full of holes and concerns. So getting the humans in the loop, using AI properly as a tool, is probably the balancing point, and I think it's something that we'll end up exploring in the next year or two, and it'll be an enduring theme, I think, that will grow and grow and grow.
Yeah, excellent. And so how do you explain cyber risk to the board without having their eyes glaze over?
It is hard. I've done quite a few presentations to boards. I think the first step is you need a board that's willing to be educated. So if you have a board that ignores the issue, that just wants the expert to come in and tell them what they're doing, then it just doesn't hit traction. So I think, but increasingly we're seeing boards are interested. They're taking the time. They're willing to do the tabletops and simulations to help them understand what the impacts could be. And I think probably the enduring message is do those tabletops, get a feel for what a real cyber event is, and then they can then be in a better position to say, are we taking appropriate measures? Are we spending enough on this? What's the kind of damage that could occur? And are we looking after the shareholders' interests to make sure that we don't end up in the press and that? But it's an enduring and ever-changing journey for them.
Yeah, sure. Now at McGrathNicol, obviously you're always in the incident response side of the business, things at their worst. So what are the threats that you think security teams underestimate the most?
The biggest threat, I think, is security teams underestimate the kind of impact a breach will have on an organisation. Security teams live in the 80% time, which is doing all the controls, making sure all the things are getting done, making sure that the compliance checkboxes are done. But a breach is a crisis, a moment of crisis, and it changes the state of people's minds, the way they operate. Some become chickens running around, headless chickens, and others are the ones that have practiced it and are born for it, are calm, collected and coordinated. And that's getting specialists like ourselves in, not to promote ourselves, is really important though for those very rare but really points.
Excellent. All right, and final question, John. What's the buzzword? We're obviously hearing a lot of buzzwords here at a conference like this.
Yeah.
What's a buzzword you never want to hear again?
Wow. It's been interesting actually, because we've had phases DLP and EDR, and I haven't heard much of it this time, but AI is obviously, I think, the one you can't get away from it. What it means, what it is, it's just a very nebulous kind of concept at the moment. Everyone seems to include it in their products and offerings, but no one seems to know what's going on with it. So I'd probably like to see a more focused reality. It's become a big issue. It is an issue, and it is a big issue. But how it gets applied in the cyber sense and how we operate as practitioners will probably be next year's topic.
Yeah, sure. Something to look forward to.
Yeah.
So
indeed.
in addition to your role at McGrathNicol, obviously you're the head of the Canberra chapter at ASA.
I am.
So the event's been great this week, so thanks for your support with that. Any takeaways from the event?
I think the takeaway is, and to bring it back to one of the first points, these events are educational. Everyone, even if you've got deep experience in certain areas, can pick up new things. But probably the biggest point is the connection with our community is so important. And we were laughing, the block party, 80% of them are all introverts.
Yeah, that's right.
And yet when you're with kind of your people, you can let your hair down and actually share and connect. And that connection, that networking in our industry is as important as any other industry. And I think that's the takeaway for me, is that sort of connection and constant learning. Hopefully we'll see you here next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely for the block
Good.
party. It
Yeah.
definitely brings the community together, which is great. So thanks for a great conference.
Yeah.
Cheers,
Pleasure.
John.
Good on you. Cheers.